So, I fainted on the 21st of this month from watching fake blood on a Bill Nye the Science Guy episode. Yep, you have heard it well. Me, GBock, the manliest of all men, has officially fainted for the first time. To start things off, I want to start things off by saying that I am not a fan of blood and needles. Vaccines are fine, injections are fine, but I just cannot take the feeling and the sight of blood being taken from your body and oozing into this vial. It comes from this bad experience I had in middle school when I had to have blood drawn from my body in order to test for anemia, which I don't even know what it does anymore. I don't even know what that is. What does that mean? Long story short, I hate getting blood drawn. Don't get me wrong, I'm fine with blood that I know is fake, such as, in TV, movies, and whatnot. But real blood just makes me want to... Ugh. On this particular day, my biology class was to start studying the circulatory system. And even just talking about veins or blood vessels makes my arms cringe, but I've managed to, up until this point, be able to, shake it off. However, that day, I guess my body just felt like being a pussy. So now we are going to watch an episode of Bill Nye the Science Guy, and most of the class is really excited to watch a little kid show that really only teaches us a basic knowledge that we already know about the circulatory system, considering that, it's a kid's show. So when I start to realize that I'm not exactly feeling well, was the moment when my teacher explains why the heart makes the beating sounds of the heart. I'd rather not explain it, as it would A, take up too much time in the video, and B, bore you to tears. So I'll just put a link in the description to a site that explains it. So, yeah. So I hear this, and I get that immediate reaction of my arms cringing. I'm trying to, I'm just rubbing my arms up against my hips. It's just, I look weird doing it, but I managed to somewhat shake it off, but still have it in the back of my mind. And then the show now moves to this segment of this little boy, and he has on these tables these giant buckets of what I know is fake blood, explaining that this is how much blood you have in your body. And I was like, fine. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then he showed this water bottle filled with really dark red liquid and said, this is how much blood you donate in one sitting. And at that moment, I immediately think of blood donation stations. They put giant needles in your arms. You have to sit there while you feel the blood being put into huge vials, and you must squeeze this ball every once in a while to help pump blood into your arm. And as I was thinking about this, darkness. Complete darkness. Now, while we're in this darkness, while we have paused this gameplay, I want to address to you guys how pathetic I think I am for looking at fake blood and knowing that it was fake blood. And I still fainted. You know what was probably in that water bottle? Fucking water with red dye or fucking pomegranate juice or some shit. It gets better, believe me. So coming from this darkness, I immediately think that I was just asleep. But I felt this person, who was this girl sitting next to me, to the right of me, hoisting me upright. So I now have this tunnel vision where the center is sort of blurry, and surrounding that is what I can only describe as TV static, black and white dots. The blurry center starts to enlarge and become not so blurry, and during this whole time, people are asking me if I was fine, if I was okay, and I, thinking that I had fallen asleep, just said that I was fine and that I had fallen asleep. And then they all started to explain that I fainted. I fell onto the table with my chin and fell into the girl sitting right to my left. At this point, I began to feel an immense amount of embarrassment. I started to apologize to the girl sitting next to me. She probably either thinks now that I'm A, incredibly weird, or B, a pansy. So, yeah. The show stops. The lights were on. The teacher calls the nurse, and I'm sitting in embarrassment. I had my head down on the table, and people thought that I was going to faint again, when I really just felt like crap. I felt guilty about falling on this girl, and I did not really want to exist at that moment. So I'm waiting for the nurse to come, and the girl to my right that pulled me up talked to the girl behind me and said, "Are you okay? You don't look so good." Moments later, I see her rush out of the chair, so I look behind me to see that the girl sitting behind me was fainting due to seeing me faint. Moments later, the nurse shows up, shocked to see that now 2 people have fainted. 2. She has a wheelchair for me to ride in. At this point, I just feel like a complete asshole. Even though I know now that I really shouldn't feel that bad, as it is just for some people to, as a natural reaction, faint after seeing another person faint. Again, at that moment, I did not feel like existing. I felt like just dying. But I went into the wheelchair, you know, bell rings for lunch. 1/3 of the class just kind of stares at me, saying nothing. Another third of the class is like wishing me well, and the third class is tending to the girl who is now laying on the floor. I'm wheeled down into the nurse's office, feeling like I could have walked, but she insisted otherwise. I laid down for 5 minutes, and then the other girl came in. I told the nurse that I wanted to go home. The girl says the same thing. I wait a few more minutes to collect myself. I apologize to the girl, and then I walk down to the student parking lot where I drive home. And at this point, I'm actually thinking to myself, I probably shouldn't drive. I felt still so very wobbly, and my hands were numb and shaky. The only thing that kept me really alert while driving was the feeling to take a piss. Initially, I got so much shit from my family and friends in the days after the incident. My family mocked me the whole time, and my friends told me that I should use the fainting as an excuse to flirt with the girl sitting next to me, as if I want to make things even more awkward than before. And although she's a very hot girl, and I say that as an understatement, she was fucking hot. But we did not really communicate at all before the incident, and I'm positive that we won't talk to each other now or in the future due to excessive awkwardness. I think that will probably be the most remarkable moment in that biology class, and I just wish that it did not have to be me that was involved. All right, you've heard my shtick. Now get the fuck out of here. Oh, and I'd like to thank 369 Gamers for allowing me to post this awesomeness on their channel. Remember, boys, don't hate, appreciate.